I hope to grow in a way that I would look back and say, I think I did a good job by opening the doors of opportunities, both in person as well as online classes. And I think I made right choices by going to Nienke.
How are you tonight?
I'm happy to see you in my class. Just kidding. In my music class.
I'm
Hello,
happy
Nienke.
to see
How are
you.
you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very happy,
Yeah,
excited, busy.
nice. That's great. So, for the people that don't know Isabella yet, she's the founder of Munchkins Online, and she also has a music school in Vienna. And today we would like to explore her story and see how she's been doing this year. So, first of all, why don't we start by introducing yourself a little bit to everybody?
I was born in Korea, Seoul, Korea. My family moved to Los Angeles, California when I was 10. And there of course, I started my piano or music education even before that, though.
How old were you when you started?
I started piano when I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
Not too young, but not too late.
Mhm.
But my mom was a singer, so I always heard this music, all the time in my family. My older sisters were always playing instruments, so I always grew up hearing music. And then my parents or my mother, took me to first piano lesson, and then ever since I never stopped. Yeah. And so my family moved to Los Angeles when I was 10. And as a child, I was a very shy girl. And I was always afraid of talking, introverted. So it wasn't always easy for me to volunteer and express my demands or wantings or needs. But the whole time I have always been paying attention to what people are saying.
Mhm.
And then I went to different various schools, private schools.
Can I go back for 1 second? So you said your family moved from Korea to Los Angeles or from Seoul to Los Angeles. Did you
Mhm.
already speak English by then?
No, not one word.
So how was that? Like moving to a country where you don't speak the language?
I think as a child, you learn language quite quickly,
Hmm.
but especially when your inner ear is developed, when you hear intonation, accents, pronunciation, you're much more sensitive than compared to other children. And not to mention, you have to mingle with the local language speaking.
Hmm. So you became very adaptive.
Mhm. But I didn't really express that. I wasn't really a talkative type of person.
Hmm.
And then, of course, my teachers thought, there's something wrong with this girl. And
Because you weren't talking?
I wasn't talking. I just didn't feel like talking. I just didn't feel like talking. Why? But, also it was because I was unsure whether, is it okay for me to just express what I want in English? And did I say it right? Did I say it wrong?
Mhm.
And then this is a character issue, I suppose. But the whole time I understood what everybody was talking about, But then one day we were having the teacher was giving us a surprise test. It was a spelling test.
Mhm.
And it just clicked on me. You just have to go with the rhythm, bamboo, bamboo, and boom, I just did it without even studying. It just clicked on me like, pff, you know, because the whole time I remembered what the teacher was saying during the class sessions and spelling practice sessions. When you have this musician's ear and when you listen carefully with certain, you hear everything, the tone and everything. And
Mhm.
so all that just stuck in my mind. And so when it was a surprise quiz test, one day it just clicked. That's, the rhythm had, I guess it's a muscle memory thing in my brain. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just got like 100% spelling
Wow.
bee test. Boom. And
That's
I was like the
interesting.
only person in my class that actually got perfect 100% spelling test.
Wow. Just from
And
getting the link in your brain between the rhythm and the music of language and the
mhm.
actual language and the spelling.
Yes, because when you're practicing music, but you have to learn it in a certain way too.
Yeah.
You can't just listen to the teacher and the teacher tells you do this and do that. It doesn't work like that. You have to really, when you are taught the right way,
Mm-hmm.
you really learn to really listen to the rhythm, to the tone. And so imagine you're always listening to the teacher's spelling time, the session, the how do you spell this and how do you spell that, and the same pace and the rhythm of the short syllables versus the long syllables, it sticks into your inner ear. And I was just able to just do it naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what my method is,
Yeah,
English
I can
through
totally see how that
literally
works
through
because
music education. Yeah.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I'm from the Netherlands and we also learn a lot of languages in high school. And for me, one of the difficult ones was actually French. And my sister used to make up like songs with all the phrases that we had to learn, and they didn't make sense, but I could still sing them today. And they're very silly. They're like with child logic, but like it's been 20 years, no, even more, like 25 years, and I can still, like, if you ask me to sing them now, I can still sing them. Don't ask me, please. Don't let me embarrass me, but I would still know them. Yeah.
When you teach little kids, even Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star,
Yeah.
you use that twinkle, twinkle, little star, you convert that into A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P,
Hmm.
these are the simple things that is just so easy to teach and young children can remember. So, but imagine you're teaching early childhood English,
Hmm.
refined music education
Yeah.
taught by musicians
Hmm.
or who have classical trainings. And imagine that. So you're learning basically two languages at the same time. And it's not music and English. It's really music through English. You're
And the
learning,
other way around, right?
it's like they're learning to be bilingual in both senses, both languages.
Yeah.
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 That is how I learned to speak English. And I
Hmm.
learned it in less than 6 months when I
Oh,
was 10.
that's incredible.
But of course, I didn't really need to prove that. So I didn't really talk.
You kept on quiet. You just had the music speak for itself.
Yeah.
And then, so maybe we should fast forward a couple of years. I understood that you actually went on to study classical piano, right?
Yes. I mostly thrived in competitions.
Hmm.
For some reason, my teachers thought I was quiet but very competitive.
Nice.
First of all, I loved playing piano.
Hmm.
It was something that I always enjoyed. Maybe because my all my piano teachers were different compared to school teachers.
Hmm.
They always gave me some special attention, wanted to go extra. They wanted to go just extra out of their way to help me, give me a little longer lesson here and there. So I really felt that as a child that, wow, my teacher really likes me. And when your teacher is willing to go out of their way to help you, you want to do something more.
Hmm.
So out of all that teachers that I've had growing up years, I knew that I wanted to be somebody like that. I wanted to be a teacher who I can open up, you know,
Hmm.
child's mind and just really help them to bloom, because that's all I needed. I need somebody who believed in me, and all I needed to do was just let them help me to just bloom. But I wanted to be that teacher who I can inspire my
Mm-hmm.
students, and also, parents need guidance too,
Yeah.
you know. And so, yeah, I'm glad that I became a music through English teacher. It
Mm-hmm.
actually it actually happened by accident though.
Oh, really?
Yes, I actually wanted to become a piano instructor,
Mm-hmm.
and I became a piano instructor after I graduated from USC.
Mm-hmm.
And my students were, really very ambitious ones,
Mm-hmm.
like 15, 16-year-old high school students, getting early acceptance to Johns Hopkins. I taught those kind of students in
Mm-hmm.
California. And this was when I was still in university, And then, but one day, of course, and then I got married, and then I moved to Austria.
Mm-hmm.
I came here as with a diplomatic status, and that's how I began my life again in foreign country, like foreign
Mm-hmm.
country after another foreign country.
Yes, your second
Um,
foreign country.
yeah, and then while I was living here, of course, this Austrian society, they're very prestigious. They really wanted to be, they're really into that deep classical music world. And they wouldn't let any foreigners in. They were just too, they wouldn't let any Americans in. It was really difficult for me to get into that society. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided, what the heck? I'll just, start something on my own. And
Uh-huh.
so, and then I started to kind of look around and checking out some music schools. And then I realized in my neighborhood, there were some kids. There were a lot of children, Austrian children, also, other children that moved from different parts of the country to Vienna because their parents are diplomats or international, workers from international companies. And I sensed that they were really eager to learn English because they
Mm-hmm.
knew that English is an, international language. It opens up the doors of opportunities in an amazing way. And then, so I thought to myself, well, I think, I know what it's like growing up learning English.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pianist. So here they value music education and they value English language learning. So I thought when you learn a new language, the easiest way, the best way to teach is through music.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you with imagination, it helps you with memory, it helps you with intonation, it helps you with remembering what kind of expression you have to have when you're speaking this language. It helps you everything. And
And
so
it's more fun as well.
more fun. And why not learn an instrument at the same time?
Yeah.
If you're gonna learn music, let's learn an instrument because it'll
Mm-hmm.
be valuable one day. And so I decided to find my second career
Mm-hmm.
from just being a piano instructor, sending my kids to competitions and win and all these things. I decided to develop my own method of teaching English language through music education.
Mm-hmm.
And I created books. I composed some songs that will help the children to remember notations as well as stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started the method with 5 children in a local kindergarten, Montessori. Yeah.
So you started with 5 customers, 5 kids.
I started with 5 2-year-olds with their
2 year olds.
parents. Yeah,
Wow.
in a local kindergarten.
Yeah.
And and they were mostly Austrians.
Mm-hmm.
And after first class, then the week after, literally like on the second session, they just randomly, people just came in to the room and they heard that there is a lesson that
Mm-hmm.
is English with music. And if I would mind if I let them, join in. And so it increased to 10. And then by the time the semester was over, I had almost 50.
Wow.
Yeah. And after 50, then of course, the second semester of doing it grew to 75, and then it became a little harder for me to go, but I continued. The world is changing around me, especially the online businesses. And I know that 10 years ago, I actually started giving online lessons over Skype, but the Skype was so horrible.
Yes.
We kept getting disconnected. The sound, the connection, it was horrible. Despite that, I had like 3 or 4 students, we made it through the semester, but I decided, okay, we have to put it on pause. This is too stressful, So Skype didn't work out very well, so I put it on pause. And then last year, I realized, okay, I need to start developing again this online program. And so I researched. Apparently, online schools are developing much farther, even farther, and people are, trying to start schools online, and many companies have done that, but they don't have any online schools for small children. They don't have anything for early childhood education, music through English. And if they do it only one-on-one. And I'm thinking, how can a young student benefit and learn a foreign language by speaking only with teacher? They should be speaking with other children, and also they need to build social skills. So I developed how to do the online group English through music lessons. And then I started to launch it last year. But it was really difficult for parents to be convinced how their 2-3-year-olds can pay attention. Yeah. And how do they know if it's not just a screen time, And so we have tried to communicate with parents that it is not just another screen time. It is 100% interactive, live, and in many cases it can be even more beneficial for some children. Actually, it really strengthened their attention span. But it was, a struggle. But then the lockdown happened.
So, sorry, what was the struggle exactly?
The struggle was they couldn't keep their 2-3-year-olds to sit still for more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And also a struggle for us to convince them that it won't be like that, that there are a lot of various activities and it's very conversational. And so their child will be able to have the same attention span as they would in person class. And so it was a struggle for us to convince them and try to convince them to at least give one try. And so while I was thinking, how can we, convince the parents to give out, try it in one online lesson. And then right at that time, this COVID-19 hit and this lockdown that was forced by the government. Of course, what can we do except transfer everything to online class? And so parents had
could you take me back to that day? Like, how did the Austrian government announce it? How did you find out? Do you remember where you were when you heard that all schools had to close down?
So I was in full denial. Let's just put it that way. I was in full denial, saying it's not going to happen. No way. No way they would force businesses to close everything. How would the businesses survive, So I was in full denial until my staff were hounding me, Isabella, it is for real. We have to close down. We have to close the building. It is for real.
Yeah. Were they panicking?
My staff was panicking.
Yeah.
I was just trying to absorb what's happening now. But as soon as I start to accept this is happening, easy. Everything is ready. Like I had planned everything out before.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So I said, good, that's fine. We locked the buildings down. you teach private, I teach the classes. And so out of 200 and over 250 students, those who didn't even want to give it a try, they just disappeared. But I would have to say 80% out of 250 students joined in online classes. And then what happened was it was like surreal. So the first week, as ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, the Zoom class just kept happening. I was teaching 5 classes a day, 5 classes back to back. You
So you
know,
were even busier during the lockdown than
I've never been so busy
before.
in my life teaching so many classes. It was like, and then
And the parents must have been happy with that as well, right? Because a
they
lot
were
of
really
people were
curious.
stressing at home.
They were really curious, and they had doubts. Some of them had doubts. Some of them had, low expectation, and some of them had no expectation. They just did it because they had to. They had no other choice, And then plus, as I was showing some feature, like, okay, everybody, so here it is, and the keyboard showing, and I'm showing my books, and everything was done. We had all this feature that I was getting ready for online program. And so there was no surprise on my part, but I can tell in parents' faces as well as the students' faces, they were lit up. They're like, oh. And the 2-year-old face like, and I would play some feature that would demonstrate the clarinet sound and double bass sound. And this we couldn't do in-person class. We could only show them flashcards and explain and play with the recorder. But during online lessons, I was able to collect a lot of data and files that I have been collecting all these years.
Yeah.
And we played these, we used these features and files, and that they were able to learn something differently. They were able to learn different way, but in a much more effective way than I would have done in person class. And then, of course, the second week went by, the third week went by, and I thought, okay, in no time.
That's when we were still counting the days, right? Now everybody forgot how many days it is, but that's when we were still counting.
Exactly. We thought, okay, this lockdown will be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But then the whole 2 months went by. It was hitting 2.5 months, almost 3 months. And then building finally opened again.
Yeah.
And then we had to encounter another problem.
Which was?
Nobody wanted to come back to the building.
Yeah.
They were too comfortable. The children adapted to the new routine. Yeah. And parents were completely okay with that. Why? Because as I said, it was not another screen time. It was actually a school.
Yeah.
You're just in your own.
I would say even better than school, right? I've seen some of your work as well, and there I see like kids dancing in the room, and it's very physical as well. It's not just sitting down, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, we also had to tell the parents, don't forget, you have to put them in a spot where there are no distraction.
Yeah.
It's just going to be you and your child, as if you would come to the class.
Yeah.
Okay. So they understood that. And once they have the right atmosphere at home, the students were able to just learn. Maximum capacity was, oh my God, they were able to pay attention all through. First, even me, I thought, 2, 3-year-olds, we're going to start with 25 minutes, 30 minutes maximum. But then we were able to complete the full lesson plan, which is 40 to 50 minutes.
Wow.
And
even at that age.
That's incredible. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Even I was impressed. So I decided, okay, we're going to leave it as 40 to 45 minutes lesson plan.
Yeah.
There's no difference as if we would do in-person lesson or online lesson. The lesson plans stay. And yeah, and so we had to face another challenge by trying to stay online while we're reopening the building because the government is letting businesses to reopen.
Mm-hmm.
There were some, parents who had absolutely just resisted. We had to open for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I can imagine that some people have a preference for in-person classes, some other people prefer online, just like people prefer working from home or going to the office or doing like a combination. So I can relate to that. I can imagine that they have their preferences, right?
right.
Yeah.
So this has been an interesting semester,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say. But now we're ready for the full semester program.
And what do you call a semester exactly?
Semester program is equivalent to 17 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's beginning from the second week of September. So our classes are beginning actually next week.
Because you're keeping the class to a certain maximum size, right?
Yeah, no difference. There
Mm-hmm.
is no difference between in person in that sense. The teacher can manage maximum 7 to 8 children per class. We had cut down the capacity in our location to
Mm-hmm.
6 and maximum 7. And
Mm-hmm.
for the online, we would pretty much stay the same, except we probably will be able to handle up to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, then quality diminishes. So we don't want that.
No.
And so
And
we would,
it's always live, it's never pre-recorded.
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
will never be pre-recorded because you have to interact with children. And I don't know if you know so well of children like me, but they have sixth sense. They
Mm-hmm.
would know this is pre-recorded. They would know. No, we don't want it. We teachers always ask questions.
And now, since you're going international, will you be celebrating international holidays as well?
Absolutely. We always celebrated Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
American Halloween.
Yeah.
There is Austrian Halloween. It's I wouldn't say Halloween, but it's kind of like a Faschingstag. It's a how can I say masquerade and things like
Mm-hmm.
this. We celebrate that here. We have, of course, we celebrate Christmas Day, but we also celebrate like Krampus coming. And so if we go, yes, while we're international and we want to expose as many cultures as possible, because this is part of learning skills, understanding cultures and making friends with your classmates are who are living in another part of continent. And I think it's like a bringing a it's like making a community, online community,
Mm-hmm.
and a Munchkins community. I think it'll help them. Help young children to open doors of all kinds of possibilities, creating network since their childhood. Just amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
And together they will learn through English, learning to communicate.
Yes.
And the greatest way to bring a community together is through music.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, English language being one of the most international languages. I hope that one day when Munchkins Online becomes to a certain level where there are enough, we have achieved the goal of the first phase,
Mm-hmm.
then I hope to develop music education through many different other languages.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Spanish through music is wonderful. German through music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I think in that sense, I think the world is becoming small because through
Mm-hmm.
online you can meet all kinds of cultures. You can meet people from different areas, and let's start that.
Mm-hmm.
young children so
Yeah.
that they start to understand people,
Mm-hmm.
understand people's mannerism, you know. I think it is, I think it will play a very big role in their social skills.
Mm-hmm.
And you teach them how to become leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
mean, I didn't have this kind of experience till I was doing my MBA, like end of my 20s, right? Like, how amazing is that you can already offer this for 2 and 3 year olds?
yes, and I enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah.
And Munchkin's goal is to bring people together,
Mm-hmm.
but as early as possible, you know, together with parents. And we want to, we want the world to value this kind of education where parents, you know, the education actually begins at home.
Mm-hmm.
And Munchkins is not gonna, is just a guide or just like a tool where
Mm-hmm.
parents can use musical, you know, musical Munchkins and Munchkins online to help their children to become open-minded
Yeah.
and learning to understand people and really listen to communicate with people. I think it's I think that Munchkins Online will be definitely would be a good tool for families around the world.
Yeah. And I understood that on top of the classes, you're really building a community as well, right? Like you also offer other services?
Yes. Before I started Munchkins Online, because
Mm-hmm.
online the world is changing, I began with English through music, music through English. For me, I started this because I was living in a foreign country, you know, where I'm also from a foreign country, you know, from Korean moving to LA and LA moving to Vienna. And you kind of lose friends if you're moving too many times. And you want to somehow make friends. And so I started Musical Munchkins for that reason, for me, to get to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then these parents over the years became my friends. They
Mm-hmm.
became such great friends. And what happens is, you know, for example, one of the examples I can give you is that I had a very good friend. Actually, I had a very young student whose mother became a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
because they have been coming to Musica Munchkins for a long time. So how can you not become friends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then life is really weird, you know, takes you some places that you're not sure that you don't expect. And
Mm-hmm.
so this little girl lost both of the parents,
Both her parents.
teenager in during her teenage years. So I haven't heard from them for years, and only for them to come back to Music Munchkins, for the little girl to growing up to be, you know, a young lady, and and told me what the situation was and that she wants to come back and learn, and she wants to be a music teacher because she remembers me,
Mm-hmm.
and only thing that she feels good and she really wants to do is become a music teacher. And she has incredible voice, as I remember. When she was young, um, her voice was reaching such a high soprano
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, Vienna Boys Choir,
Mm-hmm.
the famous Vienna Boys Choir, it is a school. They accepted her
Wow.
because she has such a high range of voice at such a
Uh-huh.
young age. And so they accept, but then the life, you know, one thing happened to another in her life, and so she ended up switching schools, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But you
And then
know,
back
when
with
she
you.
came back, and when she came back to me, wanting to, you know, continue her studies,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to help her. She wants to apply for music school, and so I told my staff, let's help her to get into the school, you know. And so Yeah, and I feel really grateful that Munchkins, is here because for many children and adults, sometimes they need a village, they need a community that they can be supported in that
Mhm.
sense. And some parents, you never know what's happening, like divorces or deaths in the family. We want to be there. We want to be the advocate for their children and help them in this sense through education, through performance opportunities,
Mhm.
through contacts. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I guess it's become a venue in Vienna where are a lot of families who value this kind of education. They come and stay.
Mhm. That's amazing. Or when they stay, when they not stay, they come back again, which is also amazing, right?
Many of them do. They go and they experience other schools. They go and sometimes they actually come back to Vienna just to visit and then they knock on our door. Remember us?
Nice.
We were here
Yeah. So in 10 years
15
from
years
now,
ago.
we'll be knocking on your digital door. Hey, remember me?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. And
So,
I also saw on the website that you do storytelling or like a night stories.
yes, we have first Monday evening. We
Hmm.
call it bedtime story.
Oh yeah,
But if
that's
we're going to international, maybe we should just say storytelling time because a bedtime can be their morning time.
yeah.
But first Monday of every month, teachers, we have a half an hour of nonstop storytelling,
Hmm.
and um, we do this to develop language. And once the students are enrolled in a semester program, it's not just once a week lesson. It's in addition to a lesson. They should participate in a fun storytelling time.
Hmm.
It really helps them to engage in what the teacher is talking about
Hmm.
and to understand the rhyming and the wordings. Yeah, it really does help. And it's fun, really
Hmm.
fun. It's one of the most popular time for Munchkins here.
What do people like about it
And
so much?
we use a really bright, vivid colored pictures.
Hmm.
And they love when they see their music teacher, not just some other person, but their music teacher telling a story. And what's great about it is that all of us take turns. And
Hmm.
so each musical munchkins teacher, even though we're telling similar stories or same stories, we all have our own way of telling
Hmm.
stories. I could say in a way like, three little kittens lost their mittens. Oh no, mommy said, naughty little kittens. I would say this way, but
Hmm.
then another musical munchkin teacher would say, three little kittens, they lost. They would sing like that. So we all have a different way of telling. And so it is really important to repeat the same stories
Uh-huh.
so that the children understand, I know this story and they're tuning more.
Hmm.
They're tuned in more. And yet they get the variety of telling stories from different teachers.
Yeah. You also
So
have male teachers, right?
we have male teachers.
Hmm.
We have, we will have a second male teacher, actually. Yes, they are really fun. Actually,
Hmm.
we need some more male teachers. We always need teachers.
Yeah.
We need teachers who not, of course, they will, all love working with children,
Hmm.
but we have requirements like teachers need to have a certain, experience of working with children.
Hmm.
They need to be, they need to have a certain degree. They have to be a musician, and they need to be a musician for them to understand, to teach theory, to be able to teach the songs that they're singing, and certain technical aspect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they need to be trained.
Yeah. One of the questions here is for which ages are the classes suitable?
Online classes, I would say the best is age 2.
Mm-hmm.
If your child is, though, it's really, we're not age strict. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of what their capabilities are. And so
Mm-hmm.
if your child is, say, 18 months,
Mm-hmm.
and he or she is able to um, focus up to 2-3 minutes, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can try to join in the online class.
So there's a minimum age. Is there also a maximum age?
Maximum age is 12.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be in a group lesson.
Mm-hmm.
The oldest one is late beginner's bloom. That means if your child is, say, 10, 11, or 12, but they're beginners,
Mm-hmm.
then I recommend late beginner's bloom.
Oh,
The activities include, there's piano time, the finger notations. They're learning both treble and bass clef.
mm-hmm.
They'll be learning the theories at the same time, ear training. And on top of that, they're singing. They will also learn to sing. Sing
Mm-hmm.
fun, comes with a natural instrument. Why not learn that?
Yeah. Amazing. All right. Another question is, does my child already need to speak English before they can attend the classes?
No, it's so easy to follow. And I recommend not to translate to your language when it's the musical munchkin session.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so easy for non-English speaking speaker to follow along because we're teaching through early childhood songs.
Mm-hmm.
The words are repetitive
Mm-hmm.
and pattern oriented. And so in no time, your child will probably echo back, sing back, and repeat everything what the teacher said or sang
Mm-hmm.
after class all day, every day.
Yeah. How long are the classes and what is the frequency?
It depends on the age group. So, say if your child is in tiny musicians or music time for 18 months to 2 years old, it would start on the very first session, probably begin ending up to 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the duration becomes a bit longer depending on the activities.
For the youngest, is actually built up throughout the whole program.
Yes. So it will begin from 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and the maximum will go up to 40 minutes.
Okay.
And that is up to 4 or 5 year olds.
Mm-hmm.
After that, then we expand to 45 to 50 minutes because the stories become longer, songs become longer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then another question is, what is the frequency? Like, how often are the classes?
The classes are once a week.
Mm-hmm.
You choose which day you want that are offered. Say if you want to choose, Tuesday at 4 o'clock, for example, you should show up that one regularly in that class. Of course, if you cannot attend in that session, then you can come another day you can join in another online class as long as there's a class going.
Yeah. Okay, that's clear. I have one final question for you. How do you think in 5 years from now you will look back at 2020?
Ooh, 5 years from now, I would be looking at 2020 saying, it was really, I'm glad that I chose the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I hope to grow in a way that I would look back and say, I think I did a good job by opening the doors of opportunities, both in person as well as online classes.
Yeah.
And I think I made right choices by going to Nienke.
Well, that of course is always the right choice. No, I'm joking.
But also meeting the right people
Yeah.
So I hope to look back and say I'm so glad that I met the right people and that I have created wonderful community and I made unbelievable friends through Musical Munchkins.
Yeah.
And the Munchkins online is something that is going to open open the world of opportunities
Yeah.
for our next generation.
Oh, I totally believe that as well.
Yeah.
A lot of schools have a program in which they prepare kids to learn English, and then kids also learn English with you, and how to make sure that doesn't get confusing for the kids.
This is something that should not even an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is a supplementary education that can only be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Never, it cannot be contradicting. And English language is an English language. And so if a student is learning English, taking English class in their school because it's mandatory,
Mm-hmm.
and them coming to Musical Munchkins or taking Munchkins online music lessons, it can be only complementary. It cannot be the other way around. It's like practicing in a double speed. It's like that. Okay, so it is reinforcing each other, and so it's actually even more beneficial. Same thing with music. If a student is taking music class because it's mandatory or they are just taking music class in their school, taking music lessons, instrumental lesson, private lessons, piano or singing, it can only be supportive and complementary. It cannot be contradicting at all. And if it is with school, I would highly question how are they teaching?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah, that makes total sense. All right, let's wrap it up for today. It's been awesome talking to you. Congratulations again on the pandemic pivot, as they sometimes call it. But yeah, not being overwhelmed by the whole situation and actually pushing through and boosting your company and taking it global and digital at the same time. That's
I
quite,
think I think you have to take everything as an opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever happens, outside or inside, you have to take everything as an opportunity. A lot of people would feel discouraged for COVID. Oh my God, we could have been so discouraged from this lockdown, but we have to be creative.
Mhm.
Why not with this, with my business? Many
Yeah,
people have been.
and I totally agree on that. And in that sense, like if you have a good product or service, there's still a need for it out there. People still want to go on with their life,
Well,
maybe
well,
even more because of the lockdown than in other situations, right?
and think about it. I mean, refugees, Syrian refugees.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that time when the whole bunch of so many millions of refugees they had to go, and when they're in a refugee camp, they had nothing left. And you know what I read about this article is that they among the refugees, Syrian refugees in Austria, they started their own business
Mm-hmm.
in a refugee camp.
Yeah.
Okay, that is admirable thing. So
Mhm.
if they can make it, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the tools today are better than 10 years ago when you had to work with a very difficult version of Skype. So yeah, that does help, of course.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward. I wish you all the best for the new semester, both with the online as well as with the online classes. And yeah, it was great talking to you today. And see you soon.
They will not leave the class without this song being sung. Wave and say bye bye until we sing again next time. Good luck. All right.
Have a
So
great
thank you very much, Nienke, for having me. And I'm just going to let this song keep going. It has a very nice ending. So,
yes.
see, it's beautiful.
It is you.
Anyway. So thank you very much.
Let's read your lyrics.
I will see you next time.